We're gonna go live here. Let me get that sweet YouTube money monetized so we can make the sweet bucks from YouTube. I'll show you a couple bumper stickers while we're waiting. NRA. Oh my goodness, NRA. Don't tread on my gun rights. Vote freedom first. Vote early, vote often, everybody. Vote early, vote often. And tomorrow, we're going to be having Dustin Tibbetts will be joining us at 8 o'clock Eastern time. 8 o'clock Eastern time, 8 p.m. My man Dustin Tibbetts over at Jazz Wealth. And we'll just talk smack on each other. Big fan of Dustin. Dustin's a good guy. Jazz Wealth, Dustin Tibbetts. He's fantastic. I couldn't figure out how to get it on his channel. All right, let me just hold on. Let me make sure I'm doing what I'm doing so I can get that sweet YouTube George Soros money. Actually, I think it's Motley Fool now. I think Motley Fool is advertising because now that the campaigns are over, George Soros is back advertising for the Davos crowd, the Davos crowd. All right, there we go. And the World Economic Forum. Look, I can't stand the people of the World Economic Forum, and I can't stand Klaus Schwab. All right, our side needs to tighten up a little bit. I had a guy or a lady, I'm not sure, I forgot the name, but emailed me that because I had written an email to my followers saying I can, make you 500 schmackies just by following this link and open up a Schwab account. And I don't get any money from that. But you guys, it was pretty cool. Hey, this guy or person emailed me, don't you know Klaus Schwab? If you open a Schwab account, you're supporting Klaus Schwab. I was like, oh. I said, for the love of the good Lord, man, you can't. Our side can't be that nuts. Chuck Schwab is not Klaus Schwab. All right, I'm just getting this one. All right, here we go. All right, look, just as an FYI, we have, and you can see this in the Marjorie Green Taylor MGT. They're going off on her like, she's worse than a stink on S. And yet they got a million nuts on that side that no one ever gets. They don't ever go after them. But for some reason, we got some lady who, oh my goodness, she's crazy. And yet you're looking at, I bet I'll never forget my man Barricade Garage. He does these skit is the funniest thing. I tell you, you got to follow this guy's channel, Barricade Garage. I don't even know this dude's first name. He does these skits, and he did this one where he's talking to some anti-Semitic guy. He goes, man, that was the most anti-Semitic thing I've heard all day. And I just got off the phone with Ilhan Omar. It's like the funniest thing I've ever heard in my life. And anyway, so Ilhan Omar, look, dude. I mean, gosh, that chick. She married her brother. I mean, the whole thing's nuts. We all know this. Yet she's on the Foreign Affairs Committee. But Marjorie Taylor Greene. I was like, oh man. But who's on the right side, but who their enemies are. Let's just put it that way. So the fact that the lefts are going crazy on MGT or Marjorie MTG, it means she's my kind of people. Let's put it that way. I don't even care. I frankly don't care what she says. I just like the fact that her enemies are so far to the left is so nuts. It makes me happy. All right, so let's go over some. So again, we'll just show you just so people know what my don't tread on my gun rights. Look at that. We got a Gadsden flag, and apparently, I don't know this to be true. It would shock me that the asterisk in president is saying, I guess they're going to come after and police up military personnel who are extreme. And one of the ways they think you might be extreme is Gadsden flags. Nuts. All right, let's see here. So, oof, man. The list just gets longer. All right, let's see what we got. All right, here we go. Did I answer this one already? All right, so here, hold on a second. Okay. I don't think I answered this one. So here's my man Lon. In one of your videos, you said financial planning could prevent taxes on IRAs owed by beneficiaries by, okay, that's a long sentence. Okay, in one of your videos, you said financial planning could prevent taxes on IRAs being owed by beneficiaries of an estate upon the death of the owner of the estate. But unless I missed it in another video, you didn't say how the financial planning works. Okay. What does one need to do to avoid IRD taxes? So remember, IRD is income with respect to decedent. All right. Dress myself today. Oh, it is on Inside Out. Sorry, folks. Anyway, so the IRD, income with respect to I dress. I was wondering why I said I dressed myself today. I said, what? No, believe it or not, I actually do the dishes. When I do the dishes, I don't like to, and we're eating, what the hell were we eating? I can't remember, but anything that has salsa, I always spill it on my shirt and it stains the shirt. So whenever we're eating anything with salsa, I turn my shirt on inside out. So when I get it on my shirt, which inevitably I will, it doesn't stain the outside of my shirt, if that makes sense. In this case, maybe I was just doing the dishes and I didn't want to get anything on my shirt. I was also making some more bread. So I'm getting on a bread fix, which is why I'm gaining a little bit of weight. I can tell right now, just eating a lot of bread lately. And I'm like, oh, man. But I'm on a mission from God to make the best bread ever in Milton, Georgia. All right. So anyway, so IRD, income respected decedent. So this is pretty simple stuff, frankly. And when I say simple, it's simple in how it works. Not simple, that you would, know about it, because no one talks about IRD. And not simple in how you get around it. What that simply means is if I have $100,000 in an IRA, all right, that has yet to be taxed because your IRAs are not taxed. We're not talking Roth. We're talking IRA, 401k, 403b. It's deferred. If I have $100,000 in a deferred account, an IRA, and I die, and it transfers to my heirs, my kids. I got four of them, count them, and 2 dogs, so 6 really. But dogs aren't primary beneficiaries. So if I transfer them to my heirs, they inherit that money. They still have to pay the tax. Essentially, they inherit the cost basis, that's actually probably a better way to look at that. They inherit the cost basis, which is a big fat goose egg. And so that means anything they take out of that IRA is taxed as ordinary income. All right. So actually just occurred to me, say that they inherit the cost basis in IRA. Oh, that's fantastic. The problem with saying that, though, is you don't inherit a cost basis on a date of death account, on a taxable account. I'm kind of thinking out loud here, so that might be confusing. So an IRA, you inherit the cost basis, and I'm just kind of thinking out loud. And a non-IRA, a taxable account, you don't inherit the cost basis. Date of death valuation with a step-up basis. A gift, you inherit the cost. Well, not inherit. The gift, the transfer the cost basis. And that probably won't work. I think that'd be too confusing. Yeah, be that as may. All right. So now what happened? How do you do financial planning? Simple. You just you figure out, is it worth it to do Roth conversions while you are alive to avoid the heirs paying the tax on that money? And there's 2 things going on here. One, old Charles and me, the old ball and chain, and old Josh are alive. We have a child that's in a high tax bracket because she's a big YouTube star. She took over Heritage Wealth Planning, is making bank on Heritage Wealth Planning, or my kid or something like that. And I said, okay, well, Charlotte and I are broke. We don't have 2 nickels to rub together. So we're going to take distributions from our IRA via Roth. We're going to transfer those to Roth at our 0, 10, or 12% tax bracket. So that way Chloe or Maddie don't have to pay taxes on it when they inherit that, if that makes sense. So essentially, we're just looking at who's in the higher tax bracket. Me, as a senior citizen, not earning money, or they, my kids, when I die, they're probably in their primo earning years, if that makes sense. Secondly, you can also look too, if we're married filing jointly. So Charlotte and I are married filing jointly, which means immediately we get a higher standard deduction than if I were single. So just this goes back to my very first. I don't know if it's on this book or not, but anyway, my tax bracket, my Roth book, which I don't have it down there. Anyway, my Roth. What the hell is that? I don't know. My Roth IRA book, which I show you the difference in a single taxpayer versus married filing jointly. It's not just same as you double the income that's subject to a certain amount of taxation if you're married. The facts are, if you're single taxpayer, I think it's you get one standard deduction. All right, so if you're $50,000 as a single taxpayer, that's a hell of a lot different than $50,000 as a married filing jointly taxpayer, if that makes sense, in terms of the net taxes you have to pay. It's especially if you're on Social Security. So the question is, can you take advantage of being married filing jointly as opposed to being a single taxpayer? So I kicked the bucket. Now Charlotte's a single taxpayer. Her tax brackets are going up, and her taxable income is going up, and her net taxes are going way up, even though her actual income went down. It's crazy. So I talk about that in my book, The Tax Bomb in Your Retirement Accounts. All right, part 3 of this. I'm so unorganized here. I got books all over the place and just notes and geez Louise. All right, here we go. Part 3 of this. All right, so let's say we're going to go to $200,000. All right, so we got $100,000 in a taxable account and $100,000 in an IRA. All right. So we have this $100,000 in a taxable brokerage account, $100,000 in an IRA. And let's just say we're charitably inclined. We want to give $50,000 to a charity. So we want $150 to go to kids and $50 to go to charity. Unfortunately, what most people do, and it's absolutely wrong, is if this is in a cash account of some sort, a bank account, this one right here, this is the money they'll go to charity. And that's wrong. That's wrong. That's 100% wrong. The money that goes to charity should always be in an IRA. This should always be the money that goes to charity. If you're going to make a gift at death, a bequest at death, you should always bequest a specific amount from your IRA to a charity. 2 reasons for this. One is your charity will receive that without having to pay income tax. All right. So if you give on that case we just talked about, we have $200,000 net, and we're going to give $50,000 to an estate, to a charity. If we give $50,000 from an IRA, that means $150,000 will go to your children, and only $50,000 will be taxable as income. A fact. If we give $50,000 from your brokerage account, that means $150,000 will go to your heirs or your kids, but $100,000 of that will be subject to income tax. Fact. And on top of that, never talk about the step up in basis and all that too. So good financial planning can really help that. Secondly, if you're charitably inclined, you might want to be given while you're alive too anyway from your IRA under the QCD rules, the qualified charitable distributions, which you can actually give money, your RMDs, directly to a charity. It doesn't come to your account, so you don't even get a 1099 that you get to file and take a deduction off. I don't want to get too deep in that. It's fantastic. There's lots of good ways that you can do charitable planning and actually increase your net estate that you leave to the heirs. All right, so we got, let's see here. All right, here's my man, Lenny Bruce. He says, I'm going to ask a question that no one's talking about. When the pandemic hit and all those people lost their jobs and are still unemployed, what happens to Social Security? When you have 10 to 30 million people out of work, are they still paying their Social Security from their unemployment checks? Just a thought. What do you think? Yeah, I mean, that's the big problem now. We have, in fact, we just got the employment numbers today, which came out. I don't know, see if I can find them. They came out pretty bad, actually. I think we only had 49,000 jobs or something like that. Yeah, that's not good. That's actually quite bad. The unemployment number went down because another 500,000 people are quitting looking for work. Crazy. Yeah, I was reading my man Brian Westbury over First Trust, and I try not to be. I don't know. I mean, I he's always optimistic, but he thinks there's going to be 6 million jobs created this year. 6 million, which would be the most on record. It still put us well below where we were to start the not the pandemic, the reaction to the pandemic. I don't get it, man. It's weird. So he thinks, and Brian Westbury leans right. I mean, it's just a fact, but he thinks there's going to be 6 million jobs created in 2021. I don't get it, which would be the most on record in any calendar year, which would still be, again, I think 1.5 to 2.5 million below where we were to start with. But I mean, I just don't get that, especially when we started the first month of this year with only a net 49,000. That doesn't. We'll see. We'll see. And that maybe that's me with my anti-asterisk president being political. But how do you, like my man Lenny was saying here, how do you lose all these jobs and just, hey, turn on the switch, everybody back to work? Doesn't make sense. I just don't get it. So anyway, if you have 30 million people paying less than Social Security, that's a big effect on Social Security. That's a fact. And, when I used to talk about Social Security, I said, you got to look at the Social Security, the trustees report. There's 3 different places they use when they ascertaining when they think the money will run out in 2034. They have an intermediate, which is what they use, a low, intermediate, and high. And I haven't pushed it for this year yet. Anyway, it's been a year since I looked at the trustees report. But anyway, the intermediate had 5.5% unemployment from now until 2094, I think is what it was. The high had 6.5% unemployment, and then the low had 4.5% unemployment. Yeah, that's what it was. So the intermediate had 5.5% unemployment consistently between now and the next 75 years. And that's the number that determined that we're going to run out on the trust fund essentially by 2034. And I said, well, that doesn't make sense because when they issued that trustees report, we only had 3.5% unemployment, and we've been pretty significantly low, below 5% for many moons. And I said, so they're using a 5.5% unemployment. We haven't really been there for a long, long time. Now, the counter to that is they also have a higher interest rate and a higher GDP growth rate as well. So they have more, I can't remember what they're using for an interest rate, but it's much higher than what the low. Essentially, you have 3 different models. One is you have a more higher growth with higher unemployment and higher inflation. And then you have a low employment, lower growth, lower inflation, and lower interest rates. So you got to you can't just cherry pick. But at the end of the day, I was like, well, we don't have 5.5, we have 3.5, which is even significantly lower than their worst case scenario. Now, the interest rates were lower than the worst case scenario too, I grant you. But long story short, it was weird, man. If you just looked at the intermediate, it was more leaning towards the better than the intermediate one. And I don't understand, is odd. But anyway, but going back to Lenny here, now that we have all these people out of work, yeah, Social Security Trust Fund takes a huge hit. It's that's what happens with a Ponzi scheme. I mean, the Ponzi scheme, you get fewer and fewer entrants into the scheme. You still got to pay out to the people who were in the scheme earlier. So now we have fewer and fewer entrants because of demographic shift, and then the freaking nuts about everyone losing their jobs. I was talking to a guy today, emailed me. He's nuts. Or texted me. I'm not going to say who it is. He said his business in California has technically, they have not been allowed to open since March 16th. Yeah. I mean, he's operating as a criminal by opening his business. As a criminal. It's freaking insane. Anyway, so all by design. I'm telling you, it's all by design. All right, we got my man Jay. Jay-Z's emailed me. Well, I guess this isn't Jay. This is Jay's better half. All right. So anyway, she says, if my hubby retires at 66 in 2 months, but waits until 70 to begin Social Security using savings and 401k, will he still get the same higher age 70 amount as benefits as if he would be until he keeps working until 70? I'm assuming 66 in 2 months is Jay's full retirement age. So will he get? So the answer is yes, assuming that's his full retirement age. So what she's asking, well, it's actually hard to tell what she's asking. It seems to me she's saying, look, if he did not work until 70, but would he still get the same benefits as PIA at 66 in 2 months as if he did work until 70? The answer is most likely. But what would happen is the number that they give old Jay on his Social Security statement will show him his full retirement age benefits, his PIA. So as long as he works to his full retirement age, he at least knows that is locked in for sure. So working until 66 in 2 months will, I mean, he knows if he does that, that's what he's going to get per his Social Security statement. We're not even talking about delayed earnings credits here either. But if he continue to work till he's 70, he actually might get a little bit more because some of those earlier years might be replaced by some higher earning years in the latter time. So if he made some, freaking crappy money when he was 32 years old, and that's part of his 35 years of index earnings, and now he's making big bank at 68. That 68 big bank will replace his crappy earnings at 32, which would give it a little boost, not much, but a little bit. So the answer to her question is that as long as he works to his full retirement age, what he sees on the Social Security statement will be intact, but it could be a little bit more. I doubt it'd be much though. All right. Harry's here for our Mandarin. I said mandolin. Our Mandarin lesson. Harry's always, before anyone says, "Oh, he's got a Harry Chew," you're saying because he has that name, you think he speaks Chinese? No, Harry's always the guy that says we all better learn to speak Mandarin. That's it, people. Lighten up. Oh, wow. All right. Mark says, okay, so let's read this. Not asking for an answer, but if you're looking for topics, okay. Old Mark is 61. He has a 401k and a few other small investors. He's not retired yet, but he thinks about it often. He has 6 to 7 years left of house payments. The house we're in is 22 years old and needs refreshing. Kitchen, bathrooms, floor, and paint. We also toyed with the idea of an addition. Let's say an all-in cost to refresh and update is $50,000 to $100,000. All right. So he's got a mortgage. We know that. He's got 6 to 7 years left on his mortgage. He's not retired, but he thinks about it. The question is how to pay for it. We don't have a large block of cash saved. I know there's a problem as I approach retirement. I could get a home equity loan and pay for the updates that way. Some suggested a cash out refi. He's paying 3 1/8 right now. Do I continue to work, stop adding to my 401k and use that money towards the updates? I'm a little bit more concerned about how retirement will affect my borrowing status. I hate to wait till retirement to do the updates, and finding out my options for borrowing money are limited. All right. Yeah, so it's tough to borrow from home equity if you don't have an earned income. That's just a fact. So that'd be challenged. If he's going to get a home equity line of credit, he'd certainly want to do it before he retires. How old is he? He's 61. I'd wait till next year and just do a reverse mortgage. And if he's spending all that money and he's putting all this in updates, I mean, he's obviously planning on staying there for the rest of his life. So I just reverse mortgage without question. And you get rid of the mortgage outright. I'm telling you, man, I don't get why everyone's so anti-reverse mortgages. I mean, I get it. I mean, we can spreadsheet it to show that they're not, financially stellar relative to, I don't know, buy term and invest the rest, that kind of thing. But at the end of the day, if you're going to be there, just take the reverse mortgage, man. No big deal. You know what I'm saying? Just recognize there's a decent chance that house won't be a lot of equity to leave to the kids. Who gives a crap? I'm sorry, man. I frankly don't care. I'm worried about Charlotte and me and the dogs. We've done all we can for my children. We'd love to leave them some assets. If I can, that's freaking awesome. If not, I don't care. But I'm not leaving them with debt. Remember, reverse mortgage is a non-recourse loan. What that means is you cannot leave them more debt than what the house is worth. That's the benefit of a reverse mortgage. It is literally the kids will either get nothing or they'll get something. But they won't owe. They won't owe. I think the idea of a reverse mortgage it needs to be revisited in the vernacular, because the idea of, I want to leave my children a house. I get it, 100%. 100%. I'm sorry though. We want to leave our children a house while you're eating ramen noodles. No, screw that, man. So, and on top of that, we don't want you to have debt. No reason to have debt. So in that case, if I'm old Mark here, I'm reverse mortgaging. Now I don't know what his equity is. I have no idea. Remember, reverse mortgage is based on your age. All right, it's based on the equity you got in your home. All right, so in this case, I don't know, he might get 43%, 42% of his equity. So if he had, $300,000 of a fair market value, and he still owed $50,000, he might be able to, he'd probably be able to get away, roughly 80,000 or so. I think he'd have to do that number. I just don't know, but that's what I would do. All right, so let's keep going here. All right, so man, Tom says annuity contract terms. Ooh, Ugh. I don't know anything about annuities. I'm getting to my parents' financial assets, and they have a couple of annuities inside an IRA. We want annuities in an IRA. Just FYI, for the love of the good Lord, we want annuities in an IRA. We don't want annuities outside an IRA, especially if they're variable annuities. But Josh, you don't get double tax deferral on annuities in an IRA. If anyone is selling you an annuity in an IRA for the tax deferral, that person should be put the guillotine with Robespierre, man. Good night. Is it Robespierre or Robespierre? Whatever. I'm from Maine. I get away from my mispronunciations. The point being, I can't tell you how many times I've had to do this. Joe Schmo puts $100,000 in a variable annuity in 2003. It's worth $180,000 now. So basically, 18 years have gone by. He's only increased his account by $80,000. That's it. However, that $80,000 that he started with 100 and is now worth 180. That $80,000 is still a net unrealized gain. So he has $80,000 of gains. Unfortunately, that net unrealized gain, if he were to take a distribution from that annuity, is taxed not as a long-term capital gain, it's taxed as ordinary income. Sucks, man. Now, if it's an IRA, he just cash that sucker out and do a transfer to his Vanguard or Schwab or something like that. Klaus Schwab. So anyway, if it's a non-IRA, if it's an IRA account, who cares? Because he doesn't have to pay tax on that gain. It's just, he just transferred over to a good old-fashioned index fund. If it's a non-IRA, he can't do that unless he does what's called a 1035 exchange into another annuity. But then we're right back to where we were, trying to avoid these annuities, if that makes sense. Now, there are annuities that are cheaper today. I get all that, but frankly, the older annuities actually have more bells and whistles than the newer annuities. So I would tread very, very cautiously before I did a 1035 exchange from annuity that I took out in 2001, 2, or 3 to a brand spanking new one. I think you're leaving a lot of benefits on the table to do that. Don't do that. So the issue is we're trying to get away from annuities. To do that, you go into an ETF or something like that. But if you have it in an IRA, you can do that without paying any ordinary income on that exchange. Now, at some point, that money is going to have to be distributed from the IRA, and it will be subject to ordinary income tax, not long-term capital gain, but still better than paying it right up front. So you want an annuity in an IRA. All right. So, and he says, I know, dumb, right? No. So Tom is calling his parents dumb for having annuities in an IRA. Negative. As the guy who rules my world says, Vladimir Putin, because I'm a Putin guy. Niet. They told me that a financial planner and an estate plan, but they really just have a salesman. Okay. I want them to get out of these annuities with the least penalty. My dad has a terminal illness, and I want to cash these out while they're married, filing joint. What do I need to understand towards getting them out of these annuities as soon as possible with the least amount of expense? Thought others might be in the same bait and would benefit on how to assess an annuity, how to get out of with the lead. Ooh. Okay, gotcha. So I see terms like out of surrender, maturity date, and surrender value. Okay, so let's talk about out of surrender. A lot of annuities have 5 to 7 to even 10 years, some 15-year surrender charges. So if you were to surrender your annuity within that time period, you're going to have a penalty. And what happens is you get, I think I don't know if every single insurance company does this. I don't know if it's because annuities are governed by the state, not by the SEC. Either way, most annuities I'm aware of have a 10% distribution you can have that's not subject to a surrender charge. So if you have $100,000 in an annuity, let's write this down actually, hopefully. So we're just going to use a simple example. We put $100,000 in. And it's worth $150,000 now. All right. We put $100,000 in, it's worth $150,000 now. Remember, annuities are always LIFO, last in, first out. So LIFO is going to be this $50,000 of earnings. So any distribution we take will always come from earnings first, always. You cannot do specific identification, average cost. It doesn't work like that. With annuities, it's always LIFO, last in, first out, which means no matter what, we're going to have an income tax on the annuity that we take. in this regard. So we got 100,000 as our cost basis, 150,000 is the value. We want to cancel this sucker. We're like, we're tired of this. Now, unfortunately, because we're still in the surrender cycle, the surrender charge, we'll just say there's a 5% surrender charge, all right? 5% surrender charge. So what does that mean? Does that mean you pay 5% on the entirety of the 150,000? No, you don't. You pay 5% only on your gain. Actually, not even that, because you have 10% you can get from your annuity without subject to a surrender charge in most contracts. 10%. So in this case, 10% of 150 is $15,000 if my numbers are right, which means in this case you only have $35,000 subject to a surrender charge. All right, and that's the surrender charge in this case. So we know for a fact you can get your principal. We know for a fact you get 10% of the entirety of the contract without any surrender or penalty. But anything above and beyond that 10%, you would be subject to in this case, a 5% surrender charge. That's how surrender charge work. So I used to sell annuities all the time because I actually fix annuities. I don't have any qualms with the ones at USA were fantastic. So I would say in this case, just use this for an example. Worst case scenario, your $35,000 at 5% would cost you $1,750. So in this case, to surrender the entire annuity is going to cost you $1,750. Now there will be taxes on that, roughly on that $50,000. But it's like, all right, so it costs you, $1,700 to have a crappy old annuity. It might be worth it to you. I could never make, as a financial advisor, I could never say you should do it because I'm not the one stroking the check. But if you're really frustrated with the company or really want to, it's fine. You know what I'm saying? So that's the issue, guys. You always got to put it in dollar terms. All right, don't look at percentages because that's how investment advisors get you. I only charge 0.5%. Well, it could be $30,000, fool. That's a lot of money, but it's only 0.5. Sales 101 as an investment guy will never talk dollars. They always talk percent. I just tell you, man, it's such a sneaky tactic. Do the exact opposite on the annuity. Well, hey, Josh, you realize there's a 2% surrender charge. All right, so 2% on $3,500, that's $700. Whoop-de-doo. Be done. Anyway, so the point being is if you look at actual dollar terms as opposed to actual percentages, it just makes things a whole lot easier for sure. So that's out of surrender. If you're out of surrender, that means the 5, 7, or 10 years that you've had the annuity for the surrender charge you're subject to is gone. You don't have to worry about that anymore. It's free and clear. What I would call walk-away money. So one of his questions is surrender value or surrender value. That's walk-away money. And this freaking ticks me off too on annuities. So basically I won't be able to draw it very well. What happens is these guys, it's giving a 7% guarantee. I've heard this 1,000 times and nothing infuriates me more. Well, so, Grandma Jones, well, hey, Josh, I appreciate you taking the time. My guy, an insurance guy, he said I was getting 7% on my money. That's great. I'm like, Grandma Jones, you're not getting 7% on your money. Well, that's what he said. I know he wouldn't lie to me. He's not lying to you. He just doesn't know what the hell he's talking about. He's ignorant of his own products. What's happening here? Oh, it drives me up the wall. There's two, I am going to draw this. There's two different accounts on annuities. So let me do this. You got your cash value side, and you got your income side, your income value side, or your income base. All right, so we start with $100,000. All right, that's what we're starting with. That goes to our cash value side. That's what we're starting with. All right, this is what I would call walk-away money. How much of a check will they stroke for me to leave that annuity? After a surrender charge, how much is that? That's cash value is walk-away money, or surrender value is even a better way to look at it. Surrender value. If I surrender this contract, how much am I getting? I call it walk-away money. I want to check how much is that going to be. Now, there's also an income benefit. And so what happens here is they'll say, look, you're putting $100,000 in, Grandma Jones. We will guarantee you that in 10 years, that will be worth $200,000. All right. We guarantee that in 10 years, that'll be worth $200,000. What they frequently neglect to say is not $200,000 on the surrender value, walkaway cash value side, which is all the same thing, semantics. It's $200,000 on the income benefit side. You can't just say, cut me a check, insurance company, for $200,000. They say that's not how it works. We'll cut you a check for whatever the cash value is. And the cash value could be more than 200,000. I highly suspect it won't be. It'll be, 155,000. So what happens here is Grandma Jones thinks she has $200,000 of walkaway money after 10 years. And then she'll say, I want to surrender my annuity, and she'll get a check for 155, and she'll be pissed. And she'll say, why did I only get 155 when I was promised a 7% year-over-year guarantee return? Because you weren't getting a 7% guarantee return promise. You were getting a 7% income return. And what that simply means is, let me tell you how this is structured. You put $100,000 in, Grandma Jones. We guarantee in 10 years you have $200,000 for which you can take 5% a year on. We're going to guarantee that you can take. See what I just did right there? See how I did that? Thankfully, I have my shirt inside out. Yeah. One time I had this great. One of my favorite shirts of all time is a polo. And I was doing a seminar someplace in New Jersey. And same thing, I had one of these markers, and I got it right here, just a black mark, and I could never get it out. And just made that shirt. I was like, man, that's like my favorite shirt. Happens all the time. Clumsy like that. Anyway, so what happens is they'll say, we'll give you 7% a year guarantee, and in 10 years it'll be worth $200,000. But what will happen is you can take 5% a year off this, or 10,000 a year guaranteed. Right? So in some ways it's not a bad deal if you're trying to take it for income. It's a horrible deal if you're trying to get investments though. Because in this case, you only got a $55,000 return on $100,000 investment over 10 years. That's horrible. And the reason it's horrible is because the fees are so damn high. The income base, it looks pretty good. You're like, hey man, I get $10,000 a year. Yes, but what's happening here is $10,000 a year is 5% of the income base. But how much is that of the cash value? It's a hell of a lot more than 5% a year. So what's happening is as you're taking this money out each and every year, this amount is shrinking and shrinking and shrinking until there's no more. There will be nothing left to your heirs. Now, you will always get $10,000 a year, all right, until you die. And even if this goes to zero, you're guaranteed the $10,000 a year. It'll never go up. They always say, well, it could go up in value. No, it won't. The reason it won't is because you're pulling so much off the cash value. It's impossible for this thing to grow. It's impossible. So you're stuck with $10,000 a year. It's almost like a fixed SPIA at that point, an income annuity. It's not going to grow. 15, 20 years from now, that cash ought to be gone. You'll still be getting $10,000 a year, but but you're not getting 7% guaranteed walkaway money. I cannot stress this enough. So walkaway money, surrender value, and I hate to say it's cash value and surrender value because cash value might not be the same as surrender value if you're still in the surrender terms. But man, yeah. And I'm not even a Ken Fisher guy, by the way. I'm not I don't mind Ken Fisher. I don't hate the guy, but I'm not a Ken Fisher guy where you're like, I hate annuities. That's just stupid. But I am a Ken Fisher guy with the way these annuities are marketed. It's just horrible stuff, man. And the worst thing is, I was in this business a long time. Let me just tell you this. And I remember I was on the bank platform and we have these guys, and it was at First Union Bank. I remember we have these guys, the wholesalers of these annuity products, come in and just give you the freaking most shady sales taxes you ever heard. And just, but you're a new guy and you also had quotas you had to meet and stuff like that. And you didn't really know. You're like, they'll say, look, just do what I tell you. You'll make sales. You're like, okay. And I mean, I knew I had come from Vanguard. So I already had a hard time. I said, I don't like these things. Anyway, long story short, a lot of the insurance guys or a lot of the financial advisors who market these annuities, they don't even know what their products are. They just don't. Sad. And it's almost impossible to know what the products are when there's so many different ones out there and they're freaking, the prospectus is this thick. There's no way for them to know. And and that's why I always revert back to keep it simple, stupid. If you can't describe it very quickly and cleanly, it's not worth it. Are there some good annuities? Sure. I mean, I tell you, the ones they were offering in the early 2000s, man, it was an arms race in terms of benefits. The bells and whistles was fantastic. Those days are long, long gone. It'd be very, very hard to convince me to tell somebody to buy an indexed annuity or a variable annuity right now. Very, very hard. Now, the index annuity guys, they make a claim. It's right. Hey, you'll never lose money. And the protecting the downside is more important in a lot of ways for a retiree than capturing the upside. I actually don't have any qualm with that. That's not a bad argument. It's not a bad argument. If we're trying to go to upside capture, the index annuity or variable annuity aren't going to do it. I don't think any insurance guy would lie about that. However, let's just not put it this way. If an insurance guy selling you an index annuity doesn't talk about the point to point, because someone just said, but yeah, right here, Lydia said, why not have dividends support you? Dividends are not used in the indexed annuities sales pitch. I'm telling you right now, I've done videos on this. It infuriates me that these guys will try to pretend like dividends don't exist. They don't. It's nuts. And I don't like that. So if I hear a sales pitch on the index annuities, the first thing I say, where the dividends fall for this? This includes dividends. No, it does not. Stop. And if you ever get pitched on that, just ask, hey, where are the dividends? Why are you only using price? How come there's no dividends included? You know why? Because the insurance company's getting the dividends. Someone's getting them. It ain't you. The insurance company's giving it. And the insurance company's taking those dividends and they're paying the salaries of the friggin', big friggin' Transamerica CEO, whoever the hell that is, and all that. I mean, it's nuts. And you're not getting it. No one does this for you. They all do it for them, man. Which is why I had to turn on the sweet YouTube algorithm, the monetization, because I'm doing this for me too. Be honest with you. I love to say I'm doing this for free. I'm not doing it for free. No one works for free, man. No one does. Now, was Mother Teresa, did she work for free? Well, no, she still worked because she had a mission to accomplish that was given to her by God. All right. She was working for God to help fellow human beings. And again, I don't think any of us on here are Mother Teresa. We're certainly not Jesus, and we're certainly not Mary, or hell, not even Joseph. You know what I'm saying? I mean, just think, you came home one night and your wife, who you've never, done the deeds with, is pregnant. You're like, dude, what? Back in the day when women had no authority whatsoever, which was what makes Jesus, which is why these feminists who hate on Jesus, I'm like, do you not know who the biggest freaking pro-woman person in the history of mankind was? It was Jesus Christ, man. Oh my goodness. If you love women and you love women's having rights, I don't know how you cannot love the good Lord Jesus. My lands. All right. So we talked about that. Let's keep going here. All right. What does this guy say? All right, here's Jay. Jay says a different Jay. He says, thanks for being in the Army. He spent 21 years in himself. He's been watching me for a few years now. Whoa, where's he at? Jay's looking at me out the window. Ugh, creepy. I'm about to retire from his civilian job. He's 55, and part of his retirement plan is using his 401k. Okay, so he understands about the barbell. However, his 401k plan won't let him draw from just a stable value portion. Yeah, it sounds like kind of like the TSP. The plan description states accounts will be taken first from all of your sub accounts other than your Roth and Roth. Okay, so it's almost like the TSP. It's a pro rata. Hate that. All right, so he said, please advise you. I fully expect to. All right, gotcha. You don't have to pay for this. So this is an issue that the TSP has to contend with. I think there's actually a relatively simple solution. My man Chris Barfield over at Barfield Financial has an article on this. Let me see if I can't just I'll bring it up here. I've been meaning to do an article about this, actually. Barfield Financial, and I'll post it for y'all to watch. So let me see if I can't. And Chris, oops. Man, what happened? There we go. All right, sweet. I forgot I had to do this. Hold on just a second. Share screen. We're going to go to tab. We're go to Barfield Financial. Yeah, and I would highly suggest you subscribe to Chris's newsletter. Probably the best logo in all of financial planning. Simple and just freaking, it hits you. Look at that. Look, maybe not. That, look at that. That is just, I love it. That is a fantastic logo. So simple, man. And just so it just, you just like, yeah. Anyway, so subscribe to his newsletter here, right there. And we're going to go to newsletters, and he has an article about TSP, rebalancing your TSP. All right, and I'll just put a link in the show notes for any of you folks on all right, Krakow. All right, so with Chris, so anyway, so I just put that in there. What you do, and I'll just give you the Cliff's notes, is you just say, I got $100,000 for simplicity. I got 30,000 in my G fund, or in this case, is stable value. I got 70 in VTI. All right, so I know I can't just pull it from the G fund. I got to pull it from 70% from VTI and 30% from G, which sucks. So what I do is I just move everything over to G, and it depends on if there's fees or anything like that on your portfolio. And I take everything from my G, and then I put 70% back into VTI. It's a hassle. I don't know why you couldn't do that though. And the same thing with a TSP. Just okay. I'm gonna put everything for a couple of days. It'll be out of the market. It'll be over the G fund. Pull what I need from the G fund, and just put that percentage back into the C. It's a hassle, but that's how you do it. Hope that helps. No big deal. Oh boy, do we got all right, good night. We got, let's put this guy, block user. Hey, getting trolled, man. All right. All right, here's my man Eli. I have 700,000 mutual funds. My house is or he always asks us, I don't know. All right, so and it looks like he's at a Mets game or something. I don't know, but he's got 700,000 mutual funds. His house is paid off. Can he retire? He's 37. All right, so you all can answer that for right on. All right, there we go. Good. There's no way to know that. All right, here's Suzanne. Thank you for my channel. I've learned so much. Please sign me up for the newsletter. Can you make a video about what to do with an inherited IRA? I'm 58, close to retirement. I'm single, will have a pension. So Suzanne is available, fellas. She's 58. She has a pension. She's single, and she's going to inherit some smackers. Oh, yeah. I want to avoid IRMA. I know tax will only go up in the future. Any suggested about inherited IRA? Do I take a hit and withdraw ASAP before Medicare? I have no heirs, not interested in preservation. I want to enjoy the money. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't know how much the inherited IRA is, so I'm hesitant to say sure, because if it's $8,000 million, that'd be tough. But you would want to, I mean, yeah. She got 7 years to go, so why not just take it in 7-year increments? It won't quite be 7 years, because the IRMA will look at you once you're 63, what your income was at 63, Suzanne. I would just take it over 7-year increments and just be done with it, frankly. But I don't know how much it is, and I don't know what your other income is. You do say you have a pension, but that's really all you can do. You just have to. You're going to have to take it out, and if you only take out the required distributions, that puppy could continue to grow. And now you're 65 and 70, and that sucker's worth a heck of a lot more than it was when you inherited it. And now you're knee deep into Medicare, and you're probably gonna have retirement accounts you got to take out from as well. So then your IRMA is going way high. And old asterisk and chief is gonna say, we want more of that money, Suzanne. So I would just think about it like a 5 to 7 year plan. Just bite the bullet and be done with it. But again, I don't know what it is worth or what your tax bracket is. I don't know, but that's what I would do. Hope that helps. All right, so let's. Colts game, right? Oh, Colts. Freaking Eli, not Eli. Freaking Peyton Manning. The Pats are up 21-3 going into the half on the AFC Championship game against the Colts. And then the Colts got a touchdown. It was horrible to bring it to 21-10. The Pats are driving the ball on the kickoff. This was the GOAT, touchdown Tommy. And they had the ball like 1st and 10 at the Colts 40 to start the second half, and they're just moving the ball. They got, I think it was like 3rd and 3 or something like that, 3rd and 2. They got the first down, but there's a holding. And I knew right then, that's it. We're going to lose. And sure enough, they lost. And I think it was even closer than I anticipated, though. You were there. Cornbread was there. Remember that? Oh, hey, James. James, how dare you email me? How dare you? Don't you know I'm Josh, YouTube famous? Oh, that's so painful. They had a holding. I'll never forget. I said, this is not good. And then the Colts came back and took like a 35-24 lead or something like that. And I remember the Pats. I could have sworn it was like a 2-point conversion, man. Did the Pats not get it? Is that what it was? Like it was like 35-34 or something like that. I can't remember. I just remember the Pats came back. I was surprised. It was like a 2-point that they couldn't stick. I forgot, but man, that was so frustrating. Oh, I just remember that holding. I said, that's it. I'll never forget that. Oh, that's so painful. And then the AFC Championship was against the Broncos at Jill. Boo. Oh. And then against the Broncos, and this one I thought touchdown Tommy was done for. He had, I don't remember if it was Edelman or Wes Welker wide open in the end zone, man. And he just overthrew him. And I don't know if it's the mile high air or something like that. But I said, I think he might be over. And that was like 2013. And then, of course, they've since won 3 Super Bowls since. And I remember telling people, I think touchdown Tommy's over. Edelman's, whatever that was, is a white receiver. He's like probably 5 to 10 yards behind the safety, wide open. And that would have been a game changer. And I'll never forget. It was way over. I was like, damn. And that would have been a game changer. And then we had it was against not the Ravens. It was against we got smoked by the Ravens. But it seems like whenever we went we went to camp. Yeah, whenever we play the AFC Championship away, we lost, except the Ravens, right? Didn't we lose to the Ravens once at Foxborough? I think we did. Notice how I say we because I was on the team. What's your question, Bada Bing? Oh, man. See, this is why I stopped watching football. That's what it was. I'll never forget. I just bought my friggin' 2012 or 13 Toyota Camry, man. Not Camry, my 2013 Toyota, the hell is it? Highlander. I remember driving home, and I was listening to the freaking Ravens and Broncos, and the Ravens were losing. It's like, what? I can't remember. It was like 4th down and 20. And Flacco hit a guy, I forgot who was, to go into overtime, like the last play of the game. Oh my goodness. I was sitting there. The Patriots had already won. They were already going to the AFC Championship. And I was hoping to play Denver. And then freaking Flacco hit freaking the last play of the fourth quarter. Went to OT, and I knew for a fact that the Ravens are going to beat Denver, and they would beat us, and sure enough, they did. And then another one, just real quick. So the Patriots, we had to get revenge against the Giants. Remember, because freaking we were the best team ever to freaking put on pads was the 2007 Pats, undefeated. All right, so we lost the Giants because of David Tyree, and Asante Samuel missed that interception. Anyway, so we're playing. So in 2000, I can't remember, 2011, I think 2012, the Giants beat the Packers. Remember that? The Giants came back against the Packers, and they should have lost that game. Then the Giants were losing to San Francisco, and they were punting. And whoever was the return man fumbled the ball. And I knew, I said, man, no, that was against San Francisco. Then they went on to beat the Packers. Then they went on to beat us. And I said, I can't believe this. The Giants have got to lose. I'm not worried about San Francisco. I'm not worried about Green Bay. I'm worried about the Giants. And I said, we can't lose these clowns again. I think the Giants were only 9-7 that year. Damn. Oh, that's so painful. Why do I care? I don't know. Eli's, and Eli's advertising now. He puts that S on everything. It's actually pretty funny. I didn't have any problem with Eli. Oh, it's just so painful. Just if we could have, but then again, you got to think freaking Donovan McNabb, he got tired. I mean, the Eagles probably should have took us out. You know what I'm saying? Hell, the St. Louis Rams. I mean, there's lots of different ways that the Pats could have been, freaking like the Bills. You know what I'm saying? But we lucked. I've never thought Belichick was a good called plays. I've always said I don't know whoever was calling the plays, Belichick, McDaniels, whoever's offense coordinator was. I've always thought they had crappy a play call. I always did, and I always thought we got lucky because of Brady was so good, and he had such good receivers who just wouldn't drop the ball. But man, all right. What about Favre's throw on the second play from scrimmage? I don't remember now. All right, so let's see. Baba Bing. Okay. Yeah, he says, me too. I used to love the NFL. I used to love I cannot tell you how much I used to love the NFL. It's so sad that I just don't care. I mean, literally, I'm going for touchdown Tommy, but I just don't care. Who the hell is that? Is that your pitcher? No, that can't be you, man. All right, so he's got about $1 million with a. All right. So bada bing, yes. All right. So this is, look, man, I did a video on this earlier today. So retirement planning is an emotional roller coaster, man. It is. All right. So this is going to sound crazy. When will you relax about money when you recognize it's not yours? It's not. All right. Now, I don't know who you call your Lord if you don't at all. I don't know. As I call my Lord Jesus, and the big guy upstairs is God and the Holy Spirit, so the Trinity. And when you have that faith that ultimately it's not my money. All right, I am just a steward for what God has allowed me to manage on his behalf. And if you get that mindset and you think about the parable of the talents and stuff, you are given and I hate to say a gift, because it's not necessarily a gift to have money that makes you worry. It's not. But you are given the responsibility to manage God's wealth well. Now, God doesn't need your money. Trust me. He doesn't care. He's not like sitting there thinking, hey, return that money back to me. But God is managing he wants you to use that wealth to do good things for his people. And when you think about it like that, it takes a lot of the pressure off, because now you're like, so let me give an example. I made more money this past year than I've ever made in my life. And one of the best ways to keep me, dude, I give away money like you wouldn't believe. And I'm not trying, no, oh my goodness, Josh, you're so righteous. Because that keeps me even. I know, we give, it's crazy, man. It's the best feeling ever. And it makes me addicted to want to do more of that. It's my mail lady. Just give an example. You know what I'm saying? I give her $50. We always give the mail people money. Trash guys, I give them $20 each. Actually, did I do that? Ooh, I don't think I did that this year. I need to. The long story short is, when you bring a smile to somebody, yes, you're losing money, but you're gaining this smile, which is worth all the money in the world times 10. It's the best thing ever. It's the best feeling you ever get. Not because you're so righteous, because you made someone's day. It makes you happy. And when you believe that you're a steward of God's resources, and for some reason he's chosen you, I don't know why. You don't know why, man. You just go back in there and say, okay, God, again, this is me. I'm a Christian. And if you're not Christian, this won't probably be applicable to you. But, you've been chosen for some of the supernatural to do good with your money, because you're still young. You're still in good shape, I presume. And you're worried sick about it. So it's actually a curse more than it is a blessing. So what we got to do is we got to turn that frown upside down, turn that curse into a smile. And the way you do that is start giving. An attitude of gratitude, as cliche as that sounds, I'm telling you, man, it is the best thing, because it says, this isn't mine. I'm just managing God's wealth. For some reason, he's chosen me. I don't know why. I'm going to share with you guys a book for all of you who are in this conundrum. And I know many of you guys are, because I get the emails on that all the time. I'm going to share with you a book that you should read, Randy Alcorn's. This is probably the treasure principle. All right. And it's an easy book to read. I haven't read it for a while, and I really need to. It's one of the, other than C.S. Lewis, the good book, itself, it's probably one of my top 10 books I've ever read. The Treasure Principle by Randy Alcorn, Unlocking the Secret of Joyful Giving. I'm not sure what that is. That's the Bible study. I don't want the Bible study. I want the oops, hold on a second. We want the treasure. I don't want the Bible study. I just want the regular book. Maybe it's right. Yeah, there we go. Here it is. It's not even. It's like this thick. It's tiny. It's such a good book because he talks about it. He talks about you being the servant of God's wealth, and you are the steward, and you are His money manager. It's freaking awesome, man. I tell you, it'll change your life. It changed me. So that's how you look at it. You say, okay, go, hey, come on up, big boy. You say it's not mine. And the funny thing is, look, I can't guarantee this will happen, but the funny thing is, the people who give, they get more back. It's insane. I can't guarantee that will happen. I can't. But I'm telling you, hear it all the time. The more you give, the more you get back. It's insane. Now, you don't give like, God, I'm giving $100,000 to the SPCA. I expect to get $200,000. It doesn't work like that. You give with a smile on face, and you say, I don't know what you want me to do with it, but man alive, dude, I've heard this 1,000, and my own self. The more I give, the more I get back. It's the weirdest flipping thing. And then what you start doing is it changes your mentality to a thought process of scarcity to one of abundance. Like, man, how can I make people's lives better with what I've been granted? Oh, it's awesome. And the first thing you do is you start saying, I don't need any freaking fancy cars. Yeah, I'm telling you, I got my debt paid. I got this money. This money is gone in an instant. It's like the guy, there's lots of biblical wisdom. I'm telling you, I'm going to store my grain. And God says, man, you fool, tonight your life will be taken. And that grain doesn't. So basically what Randy Alcorn is, you're storing up gifts in heaven. So that way, when you go see St. Peter, it says, well done, good. Well, it won't say be St. Peter, it would be God. Well done, good and faithful servant. And I guess that's my sermon on the desk here today with Pablo. Oh, life changing. And I'm telling you, I still worry about money all the time. And the reason I do, you know why? Because I got a mortgage. And I tell you, see, this is where the devil gets you, man. Oh, this is why Dave Ramsey is so good and why it just frustrates me so. I'm like, Dave. Anyway, the devil gets you with making you want the things on this world that will make you happy that are not. They don't. Things don't make you happy. It doesn't. It won't. It can't. Inherently, it does not. It doesn't work. And the devil says, look, you can put on a layaway. You can put on a payment plan. You can put it on a credit card. It'll make you happy. You'll walk out with those bags. I was watching some video today where some lady is walking out of a store like these, fancy schmancy good time rock and roll stores. And like she's gonna be happy. I said, in 2 days she's gonna want to go back and do the same thing because the thrill she gets is buying this stuff. It's not actually acquiring. It's not using them. It's the buying. That's the thrill she has, not the actual use. And man, Satan is so good at his craft. He's better than us. And he'll tell you, say, hey, man, I got this, you should have this. Look, I get it all the time. I mean, I tell you, I think about it all the time. I say, maybe I should, save up a little bit more and have that, a beach house or whatever it is. You know what I'm saying? Maybe I should. And I'm just like, dude, stop. You don't have money for that because I don't have the money for it. But I'm like, well, if I made enough money, I could probably take a debt. Oh, that's evil thinking, man. I'm telling you, that happens all the time. I'm like, man, yeah, man, I made pretty good money the last couple of years. I bet I could get a loan easily and take a debt on and buy a condo or a beach house or something like that. That's bad thinking, man. That's bad thinking. If you can do it with cash money, it's fine. You know what I'm saying? I don't think God's up there yelling at you. How dare you buy this? And if you do it a little bit too ritzy, he might be like, what's up with that? But I don't know what God's thinking is. I just know at the end of the day, he certainly doesn't want you taking debt and becoming a slave to that. He certainly doesn't want you sitting on money and worrying about it. He doesn't want you to do that. Anyway, so my first thing is if you're 58 years old, no debt, and you got all that scratch, 32,000, I can't tell you to relax. I can just tell you to kind of change it from a scarcity because you're worried about it because you're worried it's going to run out. And the only way you can run out is if you spend it too much on consumption. It'll never run out if you just, don't spend too much and, live a frugal life. Let's see. No debt is awesome. Yeah, man. Well, yeah, James, I tell you, man. Randy Alcorn. And I went to a thing last February, as a matter of fact, right before the pandemic reaction. And he was supposed to be one of the speakers, but he got sick. It was actually very, very interesting. This before anyone knew what this was, and he talked on essentially by a Zoom. It's very, very interesting. Just looking in hindsight, how different the world was. Crazy. That book is an easy read. It will change your life. There's no other way around that. And if you're not Christian, no, don't. I don't. That's the nice thing about not being Christian. You don't have to. You don't have to obey Jesus. If you're not Christian, you don't have to. You know what I'm saying? Jesus gives us his challenges and parables for all, but only Christians have to obey. And the funny thing is, it's not obey like he's telling you, don't do this because I'm a stern librarian and I don't want you having fun. He's telling it because it's weird. The things that he tries to keep you from doing are things that will ruin you internally. And it's amazing. It's amazing. You're brought up, at least as Catholics, like, oh, you can't do this, you can't do that. And I don't know about I really wasn't brought up a Catholic. We're C&E Catholics, hell, E Catholics, if even that. I didn't even get baptized. Oh, man, I did get baptized. I didn't have first communion until I was like 12 or 13. And I've never been confirmed. But anyway, it's just the whole Catholicism is basically you can't have fun. You know what I'm saying? How dare you? And it's just it's interesting because I don't look. People do what they got to do. At the end of the day, who draws more people to a love of Christ is the people who are stern and like don't you dare laugh, or people are just hey man, I'm taking it as it comes. And I'm laughing about it, and it's all kind of rolls off your back. Look, I fall for it. Trust me, I know some of the stuff I say in post, comes across as an ass. I get it. I get conscious about it sometimes, and I'm like, that came across bad. That would not represent my faith very well. And and sometimes sometimes I have too much pride to take it down. I can't. Some guy today said, Christians should have. I forgot what it was. Christians should have been. Oh, that's what it is. He says, "Oh, Josh, you're going to donate to racists like Marjorie Green Taylor, MGT or MTG. I think it's MTG, right?" I said, "Yeah, just because it ticks you guys off, I think I will." He goes, you're not very Christian." I said, "Oh man, now the left is the Bible thumpers." You know what I'm saying? Because it used to be the right. You're not Christian. Now it's the left. You're not Christian. That kind of cracks me up. It is fun. It's fun to be on the side of freedom where you're like, we have been so the right-leaning Christians have been so abused in the mainstream for so many years. At this stage, we're just like, please, you can do whatever the hell you want to do. Just leave us alone, please. We're not pushing our agenda on anybody. Those days are long gone. We just don't want to be thrown in the gulag. And if you follow my man Anomaly on YouTube, I think he's huge on Facebook. He cut a hip hop tune, and I haven't listened to. I'm not big at hip hop. I like Tom McDonald and I like Anomaly just because I just like both of them. But anyway, he cut a tune that says "Too jacked for the gulag." Oh, I love it. He says, "I'm gonna get too jacked in 2021, so they can't throw me in the gulag," because he's basically a Christian and he's an independent thinker. And he goes, "Look, they're coming after us." But I'm gonna get too jacked for the gulag. It's funny, but it's true in a way too. The way to stay out of the gulag is make sure you can't be beaten down by a bunch of SJW types. So it cracked me up. Too jacked for the gulag. I love it. All right, so a couple more here. We got Kevin. Who says, "I haven't seen on your channel. What are your feelings of Social Security leveling?" Okay. Yeah, I don't feel like really getting into this. This is way too complex. It's just for one guy. Yeah, I'm not gonna do that one on this video here. That's just too. It's not open enough. All right, so we got my man Steven, who's coming in. From Iowa. All right, old Stevie Ray Vaughan in Iowa. CARES Act to pay off your mortgage. Well, those days are gone, so we can't use the CARES Act to pay off your mortgage because the CARES Act that expired in 2020, right? You can't use that CARE Act. I mean, I don't know if they're going to allow it going forward, probably, Sniffy Joe, the asterisk. But as we sit here today, the CARES Act, at least my understanding is that that did not go to 2021 to take $100,000 out. And we'll see what happens. I'm hoping all right, here comes old Meg. Actually, Meg, yeah, I haven't had Meg from Massachusetts on here lately. Hope she's doing okay. Huh. Yeah, where's Meg from Massachusetts? I'm hoping to retire in 2021. I've been listening to your videos and want to ask a question. If I roll over my 401k to the Vanguard Wellington or Wellesley fund, do I need to do anything else? Or do I just take out 5% a year and I should be okay? Please let me know. Thank you. That's a tough one. I got no qualm saying 5% a year. I mean, literally, I mean, I know for a fact if you take 5% a year each year, you'll never run out of money. That's easy, or at least that portfolio will never run out. Why? Because you're only taking 5%. So it's $100,000. That's 5,000 this year. Next year is $90,000. That's 4,500 because you're taking 5%. So 5% of a depleting asset is still you'll never run out. Even if it's only $10, you're only taking 5% out, so you're taking 5 cents. So that makes sense. So if you're taking a true 5% a year, you'll never exhaust that portfolio. At the end of the day, that's not what I mean. I say, look, you got $100,000. You take 5,000 a year the first year, and you take. I mean, that's literally it. You say, okay, I'm going to take 5,000 the first year. Next year you can adjust as you need, but it might be a little bit more, it might be a little bit less. I don't think it's that big of a deal. I frankly don't. Obviously, if we get a S hits the fan kind of scenario, well, tighten your belt. Don't take the 5% the next year, but. I got no problem with that. So old Meg here says she's going to retire this year. Can she just roll her money over to Wellington, take 5% a year out? Absolutely. I got no qualm with that at all. Just some common sense, though, man. Again, I say this all the time. If S hits the fan and you're thinking you're going to eat filet, you might need to eat ground beef. And I just go back to my grampy. And I used to say this. I've said this a million times a Sunday, but go and see my grampy in California when I was 10 years old. The only time I've been to California, and they lived in Los Altos, but this is back in 1980, right before Los Altos was Los Altos. Anyway, long story short, we were having steak, and we only had liver when I was at my house. When I was growing up, we only had liver for meat. That was it. And I always want. That's why I always love hamburgers, because I would kill for ground beef because we only had liver. It was nasty. Anyway, so going to Grampy's house, he had steak. I'm sure it was a crappy kind of steak, but for me, it was like freaking awesome. And I said, hey, Grampy, you have any A1 I can put on? And he got so pissed. He's like, basically, because meat, steak was a delicacy. Delicacy? Something like that. Yeah, delicacy? Whatever. So it's a primo food. And he was mad. I mean, he was like really angry. He goes, when I was growing up, we never even had meat. Not even ground beef, not even liver. We didn't have meat. And you want to ruin the meat I'm providing for you with A1? I was like, I'm just 10 years old, dude. I'm just trying to ask for some A1. But the point being is that we have human beings aren't stupid. We're resilient when we need to be resilient. This whole thing like, 4% safe withdrawal rate. I'm like, it's just dumb. Look, I'm not saying it's dumb. I'm saying the idea of that sacrosanct is just stupid, man. Humans are resilient people. It frustrates me doing it. So I said to old Meg here, and I said, Meg, you got $100,000, take 5,000 out the first year. See what happens the second year. If you want to take $6,000 out and the market has gone up, by all means. If the market has gone down, well, maybe don't take 5,000 out. I mean, just whatever. But situation dictates. Every single year, we'll review this and whatever, man. You might find out you spend less than you thought. I don't know, but it's a good place to start. Absolutely. And don't forget, the 4% rule doesn't work now. All right, so can we stop with this? My man Dougie Fresh sent me an article today from Bogleheads, and these guys are all arguing about it's like sitting there thinking these guys just love to argue, and I'm like about the most stupid stuff, 4% safe withdrawal rates and stuff like that. I'm like sitting there thinking, for the love of the good Lord, man, go outside and plant a garden instead of spending all this time doing this. My goodness. Because the 4% rule doesn't work now. I mean, it doesn't. Doesn't mean it can't, but just the structure for how the foundation of the 4% is completely gone. It's gone. So to argue that the 4% rule in today's days is like as if that has any viability, it doesn't. It just does not. So stop with it. If we're truly going to use that safe withdrawal rate, I think it's like either 2.6 or 3.2, depending on what bond rates you're using. It's not 4%. So there's no 4% safe withdrawal rate. It's done. Those days are over. It's over. Now, I would argue the whole point about the 4% rule is still to begin with, the idea that you're going to spend each and every year the same on a linear basis until you die. It's silly. There's no evidence of that. Part two, it doesn't give you the resilience that people have when markets go up and down. People tighten their belt. Wow, crazy, Josh. People tighten their belts. That's shocking. Nuts. And part three of this, and even Kitsis would say this, Michael Kitsis, I think he said the average withdrawal rate you could have taken out and not run out of money was, I think it was like 6.5% or something like that. So if on average you took out 6.5%, 50, or is that the median? Maybe that's the median. I can't remember. But either way, we'll just say it's the median. 50% of the time, maybe it was the average. Maybe it's 50% of the time you had money and 50% of the time you had no money. Maybe that's what it was. That'd be the median, right? I can't remember. Anyway, be it as it was. It was 6.5% or something like that. Is that if you took 6.5%, 50% of the time you still had money left over at your death. 50% of the time you had no money left over at your death. That just goes to show you. So 4% versus 6.5%, and 6.5% says 50% of the time you still had successful retirement planning. Hey. It's almost like there's a industry that wants you to be fearful to spend less, so the industry can make that sweet, sweet money off your fear. Interesting. It's almost like they have products to sell that can alleviate that fear. All right. Mike says, my wife is 51 and he's 55, so his better half. They're planning to retire in 3. I'm having a little issue with Social Security Administration. Oh boy. She's a Missouri teacher and will not receive any benefit upon her demise. Sounds like she has the GPO, the government pension offset. I don't know if I should take it out early or wait till I'm 67. Yeah, Mike's a government employee in Wallace. I bet his wife is a teacher. That's what I'm predicting here. Let's see if she says it. He does not say if his wife is a teacher, but I presume she is. Yeah, it did. Oh, she's a Missouri teacher. Yep, there we go. All right, so she's a Missouri teacher. Hey, buddy. So she's going to be dealt with a GPO, which means she will lose all of his Social Security. I'm not as anti. Oh, good point. GPO and WEP as some people are. Some people think is bad. Other people, I don't necessarily believe it's bad inherently. If you didn't pay into Social Security, and you instead, because your teachers union or your teachers district was using that money instead to fund to your pension, you shouldn't get Social Security, other than there are circumstances where the GPO and the WEP are I do think, unfair. But if you didn't pay into it in that regard, you shouldn't get it as a spouse. I mean, let's just put it this way. People argue all the time, well, how come spouses should get it that did not pay into it? And how come I'm losing my benefit? Well, because you're getting your own benefit. So let me give you an example. FDR, the brilliant tactician that he was, I don't like his policies, but the facts are the reason they put Social Security for spousal benefits or survivor benefits was because most women work at home. And they said, the husband's going to work, get Social Security. Well, we want the wife to get rewarded essentially for her labor, which is in the house, if that makes sense. And that totally makes sense to me, 100%. And, given that my wife has worked on and off since we've been married, she's been married for 22 years, this big old lump of coal. She paid, there he is. Hey, buddy. All right. So anyway, so that's what FDR says. So a lot of the teachers will say, well, it's not fair that Charlotte should get a benefit if she didn't pay in, but I can't. Well, you are getting a benefit. You're getting your own benefit for the teachers union or the teachers district or the school district because you paid into not Social Security, but you paid into your own retirement through the teachers. So your argument would be different, would be actually the same one that people would say, what some people say, the woman going in the workforce is actually hurting your Social Security, which is true. It's absolutely true. A lot of times it's better for the woman. It could be the man, but generally speaking, it's the woman who stays home to raise the kids. Maternal, right? Oh my goodness, I'm so offended. I'm sure I'll be banned for saying that. Don't care. Anyway, the issue is at the end of the day, what happens is when the woman goes into the workforce, and if she's not making that much money, it does actually negatively impact the overall household Social Security. Not by much, but it is some. That's a fact. Anyway, so what's happening here is that old Mike, his wife, his better half, is actually working in the workforce as a teacher, and she's going to pay into the pension and not Social Security. As such, she's going to draw a pension instead of Social Security because she didn't pay into Social Security. All right, Charlotte, and I'm just using her for the example, didn't work at all. So there is no workforce for her to have paid into at all, to include Social Security. But the point being, FDR's point, and still is applicable to today, she was working in a very laborious job raising kids who would become good citizens and taxpayers into society, if that makes sense. And I'm not saying that Mrs. Mike isn't doing the same thing here, but what I am saying is any woman who goes in the workforce and gets their own Social Security is actually in the same situation as Mrs. Mike is here as well. Any of them are, because they're all going to lose their own benefit at death, without question. Now, the GPO, again, there are circumstances which makes it a little bit of a challenge, but I'm not one of these guys that say get rid of the GPO, get rid of the windfall elimination provision, because in that case, what's to stop any teacher union or any school district or any police force or anything like that saying we're not going to pay into Social Security anymore, we're just going to pay into our pension, and our spouses will get full benefits. That's not good. That's going to bankrupt the system big time as well. It's already bankrupt. That'll only hurt it because there is no more money going into the system. We need employees to pay into the damn system. I mean, literally, if I'm in a school district that I'm paying into Social Security, I'm going to get both a smaller pension but a Social Security benefit. I'm like, hell, if I can get a Social Security benefit, why not just pay into the pension and get more of a pension? I'm still going to get a Social Security benefit. Yeah, but Sniffy Joe, he just look. We know what's going on. The teachers' unions owns the Democratic Party. The two groups that own the Democratic Party are the media and the teachers' unions. No, the Democratic Party does not own those guys. They own the Democrats. The Sniffy Joe and those folks in Washington D.C. and the Democratic Party are bought, paid, and funded fully by the media and the teachers' unions. That's a fact. And so they don't make the choices. Sniffy Joe, he just does what he's told by the media and the unions and the teachers unions. No other way around that. And as such, it's not Sniffy Joe that's coming up with these plans. He's being told what to do. Yeah, that's all there is to it. And the Republicans, the corporate chamber of commerce, did the same until Trump came along and kind of started to tear that action apart. Thankfully, because the corporate chamber of commerce, not the local chamber of commerce, the what's the name, Tom Donahue. U.S. Chamber of Commerce, not good. No, not good people. Not good people. Your local Chamber of Commerce is fine. That's a Main Street. The Wall Street is a corporate Chamber of Commerce, and there's a pretty far alignment with those guys in the Republican Party, which Trump slowly but surely started to take apart. Unfortunately, there's still a lot of Republicans who love that sweet Chamber of Commerce money. And from big corporations, and they don't want to lose it, and they know they're going to if we go to a more populist Main Street organization. Anyway, so in this case, because she's going to lose his benefit because of GPO, and that's where it does get a little bit of a problem for me. I get that. Yeah, he should take it at 67. I mean, hell, he might even, I don't know about 62. Taking it at 62 is one of those things you're just looking, is it better to take it at 62 or 67? I think 67. So no real reason he should wait till 70 that I can see, but certainly, I don't think I'd take it at 62. All right, let's do a couple more here, and then we'll call it a day. All right, so we got Ken. I have a bond fund in my 401k, and it says 12% for the year, as if, okay, 12% for the year. This is, he got it. Okay, so he emailed me this on Christmas. So we got 12% growth on the bond fund. That doesn't make any sense having a bond return that. Yeah, it doesn't. So, oops, what happened? It doesn't. It makes sense, but it will all be given away once. So again, there might be people here who are new to the channel. Bonds, there are the most simple math in the history of mankind. All right, this is the par value, mature value. All right, so what's happening with a bond is literally this simple. You're issuing at par, it's 100. It's going to mature at some point at 100. In the interim, you get 3% a year. So if you got 12% on that bond, the only thing that would tell me is that new bonds are being issued much less than 3%. I probably should do it like this. New bonds are being issued at 1%, which makes the value of this bond that's paying 3 go up to 112 or something like that. So what's happening is just the interest rates have gone down, which means new bonds are being issued at a much lower interest rate than what your bond is paying, which inherently makes your bond more attractive, which is driving the price of your bond. But that will go away. I mean, it's going to go away. It doesn't, it's not, you're not getting 12% perpetuity, and certainly not compounding. It can't be. So that bond you will have losses to offset that bond at some point. It's just that simple. People like to say, well, it's a mutual fund. It doesn't matter. Mutual funds invest in bonds. They all do the same thing. There will be a reckoning for bonds. There's just no other way around that. When, where, how, I don't know. But they can't pay 12%. And if they're paying 12%, their coupon's only 3%. Inherently, they're going to have to give up that 9% difference. So 12% is what they're paying. They only paid out 3% in a coupon. That's a 9% difference there. That 9% will go away. It might not go away in 1 year. It might go away incrementally over 9 years, but it is going away. And so as such, we know for a fact that 12% was a very fleeting gain. It wasn't ever, it's a gain. You got it. It shows your portfolio for sure, but at some point it will go away for sure. All right. What are you doing there, big boy? We'll take Christine says, more Pablo, please. No, she doesn't. But I don't know where your brother is. Where's brother? Yeah. Oh, yeah. I love you. Look at that guy. Hi, underbite. Look at that underbite. Love that guy. Christine, if you have $1 million or more in tax-deferred accounts as well as a pension, but you do not have a lot of cash, should you still do Roth conversions if you have to pay tax from tax-deferred accounts? Many articles say do not do it if you don't have cash available to pay the tax. Yeah, yes, I know that's a lot of people say you should never do conversions if you have to pay the tax from your tax deferred accounts. No, I'm not saying you should do it, but I don't think that would be the in of itself the reason not to do it. That doesn't make any sense, man. Remember, the whole point is Roth conversions. The point isn't the Roth necessarily. I mean, it's wonderful, but that's not the point. Because Christine is married, I know that. The point is to take advantage of your married, filing, and jointly tax status. All right, so that way you don't leave a tax trap to your surviving spouse, which will kill him or her from an income tax perspective. Never mind Medicare, the IRMA, which again, Medicare is okay. Sorry. Wow. Did I offend you? I'm sorry. What's going on? You want to come back? Okay. Oh, there we go. Hey, I guess Pablo did not like my answer. Oh, come on. Everybody wants to see this guy. Anyway, so the issue is that what we're trying to do is get that deferred account as low as much as we possibly can. So that way we reduce the ability to be subject to IRMA later on. And again, Medicare is dead. There's no money in Medicare. It's already broke. We know that. Everyone thinks Social Security is the issue. Medicaid is freaking long gone. But Medicare is dead. So there's going to have to be funded, and it's going to be a means test. It already is with IRMA. It's only going to get worse. So the point being, the more we can reduce your IRA while it's you and the spousey there, the less potential for problems in the future when one of you guys dies. That's just a fact, man. So so even if you don't have the cash that's available to pay the tax, ideal would that, I don't even know if that ideally be better. The point again is that we want this money to be reduced in value. If that means we have to do a Roth conversion and pay taxes from the IRA, that's fine with me. It really is. I mean, situation dictates. We got to be careful there, but don't let that say, oh, I can't do Roth conversion. I don't have cash. That's stupid. And I don't mean Christine stupid, but that's just, that's weak sauce in financial planning. I mean, everyone's going to be different. You run your numbers. It might not be worth it. Yeah, it might be worth it. I don't know. But to just kind of blanket that's dumb. That'd be like blanket saying everybody should do Roth conversion. No, I mean, the majority of people I talk to as clients now, we don't do Roth conversions. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. But there are some that make sense, and they should be doing Roth conversions ASAP. And even if they have to pay the taxes from their pre-tax accounts, well, that's do it, man. I mean, just do it. Like what's his name? Tommy Collin would say on Nike, just do it. If you got to sacrifice something, man, it's worth it. As he became rich and successful beyond his wildest dreams. It's amazing. You get benched, and then you claim victim status. I was just reading today a kid in we've got to stop rewarding victim status, people. It's crazy. So I was just reading today, if you read Powerline blog, as you should, let me share it with you, actually. This will piss you off. That's another kid screaming bloody murder to all right, so we're going to show you this right here. Who just, they need attention. Actually, I do think it has something to do with the lack of testosterone in the country now. I think men, I don't know what's going on, but men have this, there's lack of testosterone, and I think it's really, really decimating men. I do believe that. Young men. I think men my age are not really that subject to it, but I think there's a lot of young men who are of a serious lack of testosterone is hurting them. So here's defund the bastards. A few days ago, a student at the University of Minnesota created a sensation with an Instagram story in which he described being terrified by an encounter with racist police in which he narrowly escaped with his life. This guy says, police violently and brutally racial profiled them. And he said, as I was returning back home and I saw there was a police car, instinctively, a couple thoughts rushed to my mind. I'm a brown guy. I don't want to be. So I took off my mask. I took off my cap. I made sure that if anything happened to me, they were able to see my face. I'm brown. I don't want the racist white cops coming after me. Anyway, I immediately turned the corner around 5th and 12th and saw sirens going off. Immediately, they pulled up on both sides and cornered me where I couldn't escape or speak. The cop got out of his car and asked me all sorts of information, but the only thing he could say was, what did I do wrong other than the fact I'm brown? There were 2 cops behind me, hands on their guns. I had my hands up, was struggling to find the words I'd always thought. If I was ever in that situation, but all I could think of was one sudden move and I'd be shot. I was able to show the officer my ID at the university, saying I was a university student, just trying to clear my mind by taking a late night stroll, but they wouldn't believe me. After multiple questions, they turned off their lights and they left me alone. No apology, no explanation, no nothing. Just me, mentally and emotionally tormented with an experience that will last a lifetime. Who could question this guy, by the way? I mean, he must be telling the truth. There's no reason to make up something, would there be? Now, after having some time to think about this, to process it, to come to the senses that this thing I'd hoped would never happen to me, it did happen. It was brutal. What if there's another black or brown man not able to prove their identity? Or maybe they were in the wrong place at the wrong time. What then? We can't keep sending our police as a solution for our students' safer community safety. If anything, that was the most traumatic thing I've ever experienced from these people who are supposed to be there for me. No, defund these bastards. The student had a call to action. Call to action. My story won't be the first, it won't be the last. But the story can be the change and catalyst to show that enough is enough. Our community is strong to enact the changes we want to see. We have to be the ability to ensure that BIPOC community members never have to fear going out, even for a walk at night. So many of you have reached out to me, showing me your love and asking how you can help. Now, here's your call to action. Send an email to the University of Minnesota admin and use your voice that we will defund these bastards. So the story elicits so many responses that the university department felt safety to respond by releasing the video of the encounter, along with a transcript of what you can see actually happen. And what you'll see is it's going to piss you off. It's going to piss you off. These cops were not, this guy just completely fabricated. The whole thing is, this is anti-white crap, dude. I'm sick of it, to be honest with you. I'm sick of it. You know, the cops are white. That makes them evil. Screw that. It's nuts. And this is where we've got to say, no more of this crap. And this is why Tom McDonald on YouTube is taking off, because he's saying, no, enough of this. And this is nuts. It's just like a racist guy who wants his 15 minutes of fame. And I'll put the link in the show notes. Watch the video. You'll get so infuriated. And this is from a guy who's seen cops act quite bad. give the coronavirus crap. And I'm seeing stuff in the UK, for instance, Ireland, where the cops are going on doing these TikTok dances and stuff while they're rubbing their faces in it of people who can't can't go outside. And literally in Ireland, you can't move 5 kilometers without the police picking you up saying, "What are you doing?" And yet the police are all over the place with their freaking TikTok dances and uniform. It's the rubbing in the face. It freaking pisses me off. With that said, these cops that this guy called out were anything but what he said. We're nice gentlemen, without question. Farthest thing from racist, and it's just nuts. They actually thought it was a white guy they're pulling over. They actually said, you could hear it. They said, "You got a white male with a black hoodie, just like the robbery suspect was white male with a black hoodie." And it turns out he wasn't a white male. They thought it was a white guy they're talking to. And then when they found out he was brown, you should see they're polite as could be. And then the kid asked for a ride. The traumatized kid asked for a ride, and the cop said, "No, we got a robbery suspect out here. We got to find. We can't give you a ride." Sick of this crap. And the thing that ticks me off is that, as I said, why don't we? And this is what I posted on my community page. We got to find out these people's names and cancel them because they're racist fools. Sick of it. Racism is a two-way street too. Sick of it. And he just because a cop happens to be lighter skin and wearing a badge doesn't mean he's a freaking racist Nazi. And until we say, no, until these people are defunded, i.e. canceled, it's going to keep going on. You got to cancel these fools, man. You got to say, hey, whatever this guy's, Tom, Dick, and Harry, whoever's doing this for freaking they just want their 15 minutes of Instagram fame, they got to be shamed so they can't find work. Yes, that's what we got to do. Just like they want to shame Marjorie Taylor Greene, MTG. Yeah, MTG. We got to do the same to these guys. The Elon Omars of the world, the racist scum. The racist scum on all sides need to be called out and canceled. Cancel. That's what we got to do. And I'm sick of it, man. To be honest with you, it's nuts. And yet, unfortunately, this is where, in my opinion, why having the asterisk in charge now is good, because I think the gloves finally have come off for our side. I think we played a little bit too defensive. This is what ticked me off about 2020. Is we were so on defense to try to get Trump reelected that we did not do anything to defend our freedoms. We didn't. And we saw some pretty bad stuff from police behavior when it came to the coronavirus stuff. And then immediately the Black Lives Matter, Antifa stuff, and we just went right back to our old ways, which is defend the police at all costs. And I said, you can't just defend the police when they're doing bad stuff. You can't. And the police do bad stuff. Do all cops do? No, they don't. But they do. And you can't just have this, I support cops at all times. It's stupid. I was watching a lady today who's trusted. She is far from a pro-white cop, let me tell you, on YouTube. But I actually like her. She's very big on Second Amendment. She's black, and she's very pro-black. Let's just put it that way. And look, I'd be like, I don't like it, but you can do what you want to do. I just like the fact she's pro-Second Amendment. Anyway, she showed a video where these, well, she didn't show it, but she talked about where these cops were, just is horrible. A little 9-year-old girl. I'm like, you can't have that happen, man. You can't. So there's bad stuff on both sides. But what I'm saying is, it's always one direction. They always call out the cops, but they never call out the clowns, if that makes sense. And we need to start calling out the clowns. It has to be a two-way street. Point being is, now that our side, the gloves are off because we don't have to protect Donald Trump at all costs and just walk this. We can't have any controversy because we want to make sure Donald Trump gets reelected. Nah, I don't even care anymore. And you shouldn't care. And we should have cared in 2020. But many Republicans are so scared. Oh, but the media will say bad things. Dude, they're going to say bad things about you no matter what. Can you stop? The media hates you, man. They hate your existence. They want you dead. They want you silenced anyway. Stop. Stop trying to capitulate to people who want you dead. I mean, the idea that you're a Nazi if you voted for Trump, the fact that anyone would even utter that, do you think they're going to listen to you? No, man. Screw it. But the idea that Mitch McConnell, if we get a couple more Mitch McConnells, we can save the country. Nah, that's why I want a Patriot Party, because the Republican Party's got no competition from the right. They don't. Oh, but if we go inside and take it over, yeah, I've been hearing that since Pat Buchanan. 1992. And I fell for it for many, many years. I fell for it. If we just take over the Republican Party with a righteous kind of people, then I remember 1994. We thought we took it over with the Gingrich type. What happened to John Kasich? What happened to Joe Scarborough? What happened to the Mark Sanford guy from South Carolina? There's another one too. I forgot. All these guys, they went rogue against the conservative calling. That's for damn sure. They all got DC. They all love the DC. There's a couple more in there too. I mean, hell, Newt Gingrich himself, man. I mean, he sat on that bench with Nancy talking about climate change. Anyway, point being, we're not going to take over the Republican Party because you see what's going on now with who is it? That clown, John Weaver, that scumbag predator. He ran McCain's campaign. I mean, this isn't just some small time potatoes, good time rock roll Republican operative. He was big league. Steve Schmidt, big. They all ran the same thing. They all ran the same circles. They all ran predominantly Republican. Rick Will. These are all scumbags, man. Not good people. I don't want anything to do with these people. And as long as they're knee deep in the Republican Party, I don't want anything to do with it. Which is why we need the Patriot Party. But Josh, the Democrats are going to take over. They're going to advance the agenda. What the hell? What the hell's been happening for 40 years, man? I mean, it's nuts. I hear this all the time. Like, whoa. I've said this before. The Republican Party has been in power a lot more than it's not been in power, and yet look at the march of progressivism all over the universe here. It hasn't. We haven't arrested it. I mean, we haven't arrested it. Maybe a couple of times we've stopped a little bit, but the growth of the progressive nuts has taken over big time, all under the Republican watch. Oh, the Republican Party will save us. I'm like, well, I don't. Where has it saved us? Literally, where has it saved you? You could be canceled easily, just like that. Canceled. You're gone. Republican Party wasn't there. We're still funding our enemies, and the university systems are still getting all kinds of money. We're still funding all this crap. It's crazy, man. I mean, the idea is even controversial to not fund Planned Parenthood. It's nuts. It's nuts. And the Republican Party, well, we don't want any controversy because we got to look at our next election. I'm like, okay, how come the Democrats never say that? So, Patriot Party for me. That's all there is to it. Patriot Party. I hope other people join, and that's what we should do. And I'm looking forward to it because there needs. And this is what. Don't forget, man. Remember Jill Stein from the Green Party. Why do you think the Democrats became more and more engulfed in environmentalism? Well, it was money. I get that, but they heard it from the left. The left was moving in on their territory, and they said, "Ooh, we got to capture some of that." You see what I'm saying? So why did the Democrats take over and saying Green New Deal crap? Because there is a valid party from the left that was taking votes from them enough to cost them seats, which literally Jill Stein cost them the election in 2016. That is a fact. Unequivocally, that's a fact. Some will argue the libertarians cost the Republicans. I'm not so sure. If you actually follow the Libertarian Party, a lot of libertarians are not true blue, red, white, and blue Americans. They're not. A lot of them don't like America. They don't like our military. They certainly don't like our police. A lot of them are not that far removed from some of those people on the left, other than, they don't like government as a whole. They shouldn't. I get that. But don't be so thinking the Libertarian Party cost the Republicans. I don't believe that for 2 seconds flat. I think, if anything, a lot of libertarians lean more left than right in many ways. In fact, you just listen to any libertarians, they still think the Republican Party, they're still, pounding Bibles and stuff. It's like this. No, that was so long ago. As such, the Republican Party has basically, it's the only thing on the right. There's no challenge on it. None. Buchanan came around and, he got engulfed by the Republican because we all said, well, if we don't do something, the Democrats going to take over. Then we're all going to be in the gulag. I'm like, well, we're pretty damn close to it as it is now. And we've been in power for a lot longer than we haven't been. So we got Georgia, my own state, red can be. Not anymore. By hook or by crook, it ain't. You know what I'm saying? The state legislature is, but not by not who else is not, and it won't be in the governorship because they are not doing anything to protect the vote. All right, my friends, I'm going to get out of here for the evening. Much obliged for y'all to be here. I'll read that. Oh, just remember, just for the time being, don't tread on my gun rights. Oh my goodness, the Gadsden flag. Oh, I got that at the rally for our two senators who proceeded to get to lose. You know what I'm saying? Read that book by Randy Alcorn. Follow my man Chris Barfield on Barfield Financial, and we'll see you guys. Oh, and don't forget, tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern, my man Dustin Tibbetts from Jazz Wealth will be joining us live and in person. We'll take questions there. Absolutely, we'll take lots of questions. So, just be Dustin and I yapping, and looking at your questions. So I'd love to see you guys. All right. Thanks, guys. Peace out and God bless.